Hello and welcome back to the Corrective Culture Podcast. Today we have Dean Gladstone. How you going, buddy?
Mate, really good, boys. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks,
Great to see your smiling faces.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Frothing to finally have a good chat to you, bro, after all the years of Instagram tagging and all that sort of stuff. It's funny how everyone's in the same circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the whole of Australian sort of holistic health community, we all sort of know each other somehow. Yeah. Or if they don't, it sort of ends up happening, hey?
Yeah, it's scary, you know, the connections and the people that, you know, that it's not 7 degrees of separation. It's 1 or 2 degrees.
It's like 2, yeah. So, man, it's just like we reached out because it's just cool seeing yourself, you know, because obviously initially everyone knows you from Bondi Rescue, right? And seeing how you...
I'm becoming more of an ice bath and breathing guy, which is sort of cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've seen you transition into...
Because you get these identities. And, you know, for me, when I started to develop an audience as an influencer, and that word had a negative connotation there for a while, and I'm like, oh, fuck it. I want to influence people to be happier and healthier and live their lives and share the bad shit that's happened to me and, you know, inspire me. And in the early days of Bondi Rescue, we used to do so much mental health charity work because, you know, as mental health is chronic and they were just getting no government support and still to this day, sort of mental health charities are one of my favorites.
Yeah. So is that sort of your drive now? Like, what do you say your drive is and what are you doing now? Like obviously the show still rolls, but what's your own sort of thing you're up to now? Obviously I've seen the ice bath, but if you can tell the people about it.
Yeah, great question. So, you know, I'm a personal trainer and I hope we get to talk about, you know, a little bit of Czech stuff later because that stuff changed my life.
Oh, awesome.
But personal trainer, yoga teacher, you know, sometimes I help people with swimming, take them stand-up paddling or surfing. Yeah. I'm a breathwork coach, Wim Hof, Oxygen Advantage. And it started to get complicated when people asked what I do. So now I say I help people to understand stress. And if they can understand stress, they can improve health and performance. Yeah. So that sort of sums up my world. And you know, the holistic lifestyle coaching course that I did, if we tie it back to the Czech stuff straight off the bat, that changed my life. That book, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy, blew my fucking mind.
True, man. I didn't even know you did that.
And so in 2005, I was king hit and had my 4 front teeth knocked out.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
This one's fake. I got a big metal plate supporting the other ones.
Wow.
And I was broken after that. I had anxiety, depression, you name it. Wow. I wouldn't leave the house. I used to scratch myself till I bled at night. And it took a couple of years to rebuild. And I found a guy named Darren McKenzie, who's a Czech coach after coming across Jan. What's Jan's name, the Czechie on the Gold Coast?
Jan Carton, yeah.
Yeah, Jan had the Czech Institute. She presented at a Lifeguard conference and it just sort of, I ended up getting the book and it was just, mind was blown. And, you know, I was training people before this and coaching people, but it just changed my whole life and journey. But, loved being a lifeguard, loved what I was doing. So wasn't working full time in PT or health coaching space until 2017, I think. I sort of took a career break from lifeguarding full-time. I'd been lifeguarding full-time for the best part of 15 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, like Jake used to be a lifeguard.
Yeah, I was a lifeguard. I actually applied to come down and work for you guys, but I didn't hear back. But it was I was a lifeguard for about there's probably heaps of guys doing that.
Yeah. Gotta love Waverley Council. They're so professional.
Oh, that's all good though. But yeah, no, I did on the Sunshine Coast here, man. I loved it. It was such a good lifestyle, and I was at Callan, Kings Beach, and I learned so much about life from lifeguarding. Like just
absolutely,
and like especially riding big waves. I used to ride big waves, and then when I went to lifeguarding and I had some pretty intense rescues, I was like, man, this matches that adrenaline. You know, and I was like, fuck, I liked the high of it. It was cool. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of those jellyfish stings and all that stuff, all the bad shit that comes with it too.
Yeah, there's some tedious stuff, but generally you are helping those people as well.
For sure.
It's just the people that don't listen or the people that frustrate you. Sort of moving surfers out of the flags was brutal, or because, they don't care.
Nah, especially Bondi.
Yeah, and
Some
it'd be
people
way
walking
busier.
their dogs on the beach.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Way busier at Bondi compared to like some of the beach. Oh, you were pretty busy at some of them.
Well, yeah. Bondi is probably like that year round. Like in Kings Beach, it was hectic for 6 weeks of the year, and then it's pretty quiet generally.
Yeah, so there was time, and like you were spending that time. If there was free time and it was just dead, like you could spend that time and learn.
For sure. I was studying Czech and doing all sorts of stuff. Read Ben Greenfield's book, like about always. You know, it was good.
It keeps you want to keep your mind stimulated, right? That's really when you're lifeguarding, you sort of got to sit there and focus, and having something just to keep you a little bit stimulated really helped me focus.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
With that story, man, of you getting hit, like, are you right to go into that and sort of?
Yeah, I've been into it. There's photos of me on the internet, like post.
Yeah. So how did that come about? And was it alcohol involved or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was king hit, so I didn't see it. I was sitting there at a football match. Someone ran up. I was on the seats. The guy got charged.
Oh, right.
So this is 2005. If it happened today, he'd go to jail.
Yeah.
The laws, people have died.
Fucking oath.
Yeah, in Sydney there was I think there was a couple of one-punch attacks that almost shut down and crippled the nightclub system in the King's Cross.
I remember that, yeah. There was that kid that sort of changed it all.
Yeah, that poor kid.
Yeah.
There was a cricketer that got killed, David Brooks maybe, I think he got king hit. And Danny Green's a big proponent of pushing these laws around it. So, we went through. I sort of, it was hard. I was anxious afterwards, but that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So you were just sitting there, and then was there words said before it, or was it just like
no? There was no, and if there was words said before, I would have appreciated it because we could have gone outside and sorted it out like men do if that was what he wanted. But there was no opportunity for that. It was a blind king hit dog attack, which knocked me unconscious. I rolled down four or five flights of stairs.
Wow.
Woke up with someone on top of me. I could taste my teeth backwards in my mouth. I knew I was missing teeth. Didn't know what had happened. It was the worst day of my life, but also potentially, changed my life for such a positive way, and
100%.
Potentially grateful for it happening. I wouldn't be
weird
talking about this stuff. Like at the Czech courses, the direction my life went.
Yeah.
Maybe even, my wife, the kids that I have potentially is all a result of that. So yeah, grateful for everything that's happened to me in my life, good or bad.
Yeah. Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when you got into the Czech stuff, so you just saw Jan speak, is that what initiated you to look further into it?
Oh, mate, I was bouncing around through the medical system. Doctors were trying to put me on sleeping tablets, anti-anxiety, cholesterol-lowering drugs, and it just wasn't working for me. And I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm like, and I was pretty much just going to get massages. I was just addicted to massages. So if anything happened, like every day sometimes, or every second day, I'd just have to go and find someone to massage me. I was working with physios. I had a disc bulge in my C45, and my SCM used to get so locked up. You could just lick it. It was like a rope.
Yeah.
So part of the problem, after doing all the training that I know now, I was a competitive swimmer. So I'm sort of 6'2", really tall and skinny. And so you boys know, working with kyphotic people, this was my posture, right? So when I was king hit, I was locked in that position, and so my posture predisposed me made the attack potentially worse than it would have been for someone else. So my neck just took the full brunt.
Yeah.
And my nervous system was just broken afterwards.
Yeah. And then you decided, so you read How to Eat, Move, Be Healthy, and that sort of, would you say that self-empowered you? Or
mate, it was, I think I read How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, saw Jan, someone pointed me in this right direction, and then just ended up booking 6 sessions with Aaron McKenzie, who was a level 3, level 4, level 5
now, eh?
Czech coach.
He's from what's his name? He's in Bondi, hey, isn't he?
Yeah, his origin of energy
That's
is,
right.
is what
He's
under
fit
his
as, man.
thing. Yeah, he's a legend as, and he was, he was such a legend, such a mentor
That's sick.
to me.
Yeah.
And, trained with him on and off for many years.
Sick.
Would still like to go and train with him, but it's expensive and tricky with my schedule. So,
And have you sort of incorporated, like, so you do personal, like you do a lot of things, right? So you still do some personal training?
Yeah, still do a little bit of PT.
Yep.
The breath work and ice bathing stuff, as you guys would have seen, has blown up in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I've put well over 10,000 people through ice baths.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of them for the first time, and, maybe taught breath work to 20, 25,000 people if you count the online stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
So originally I was PTing, and that was supporting me to study. And for me, it's not as much as the PTing as it is nervous system regulation, working with clients, getting their posture improved, getting them to balance, understanding less is more. So it's all, to me, nervous system regulation.
Yeah.
And understanding stress and even getting people to chew their food, it's like the simplest things. Going to bed early is a huge win for my clients. After a couple of years of me banging on at them not to watch 2 episodes of Netflix every night. They're like, "Oh, Dean, I took your advice. I'm going to bed earlier." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and it's like, and they see these, big changes from just the little things.
Yeah. Oh man, sleep for me, and so many people, but sleep for me is it. If I lack, because I got that Aura ring, right? So I can track it all too, but if I get 6 hours of sleep compared to 7 or 8, it's so noticeable, and and I'm aware of it, but there'll be so many people getting around there that aren't aware that and it's like you're stokers, you're not as happy too. You can still have a great day, but you're not as happy, I find, when I haven't had a good sleep. So it's like, when I used to train MMA and scaffold, I was never getting enough sleep and I was overtraining, and I used to sort of think it was more the overtraining, but it was more the sleep, because what happened is I still trained, but I changed jobs where I didn't have to wake up super early in the morning anymore, and I was getting my 8 hours, and it was like completely different for me. And you got to think about it. For millions of years, we've had, say 8 hours sleep, and if people think they can take 2 hours away from that, it's a lot, and think it's not gonna matter. Like, fuck, it's everything, and you wonder how that affects like nutritional deficiencies and all these little like recovery and all these little factors in life. Like, you can get stuck chasing the symptom, and it's, like I said, it's very empowering when I looked into Paul's model, it was like, oh, look at all these foundations first, but if you're lacking if you got a symptom and you're lacking in them, like, you have to get on top of that, otherwise you're just chasing symptoms the rest of your life. It's so empowering. Like, I love it.
Yeah, well, but and that's, I was looking at those, thoughts, breathing, hydration, nutrition, movement, rhythm.
Yeah.
And literally now I'm spending a lot of time just on the breathing and seeing success from one, although they're so connected. The breathing and sleep is just, if you're not breathing nasally, you're not getting proper sleep as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Potentially snoring, potentially choking in your sleep with sleep apnea, getting up, going to the toilet, like the sleep tape product or the mouth tape product that I sell that encourages your lips to come together, changes people's lives.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
This is without doing all the other stuff that they should be doing.
Yeah.
Well, you know the Czech. Do you know the Czech totem pole?
Yeah. Well, that was a long time ago that I did it. I'm trying to look into to do HLC2 actually at the moment.
Yeah, they go heavily into it in HLC2, but thoughts and your rhythms at the very top of the totem pole. Then it's breathing. So those two will inevitably change everything below it, which is like, your eyes, your ears, blah blah blah, all the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, breathing is like so underlooked at, I reckon.
Yeah, I think they moved the foundations of health around from when I did it, but it was that thoughts, breathing, hydration, nutrition, movement, rhythm.
Yeah, that's
back.
the foundation principles, and then there was the totem pole was like the thoughts, your circadian rhythms as well, and then
they used
so
to
linked.
call it
Everything's
rhythm,
linked.
but now they do. It used to just be like thoughts, but now I see how they got that sort of rhythm thing. I think they updated it to throw the rhythms in there.
True. Yeah. Fuck, it's so good, and so I'm the same. Like, I always check people's breathing, lying down, kneeling, and standing, and then walking, and then jogging, because they could be inverted in one of them.
Yeah.
if they're inverted in one of them, there's a good chance that that's going to be creating stress on the body. It's like it's very simple, but like I haven't had. So we had this professional AFL player up all week, Josh Dacos, and he was sick, and he was the first guy I've seen on the table where I asked to breathe, and I was feeling his scalings to see if they had any activation, and there was 0. He's like his belly just went like a proper diaphragm, and I was like, man, that's the first one.
Yeah,
I've always even myself, I still can activate early in the scalene sometimes if I'm a little bit wound up. So I was like, fuck, that's crazy,
cool.
you know? Like, I was like, wow, it's like, it's true, that, you know, good athlete.
Yeah, it's getting out to there. I was with the Manly NRL players yesterday.
Sick.
And we did we did 4 sessions last year, and it was great. It's
amazing.
When
it's getting into pro sport.
Yeah, fuck
yeah. Yeah, and it's still you can still see how there's a lot of in a lot of sports it's really far behind still in a lot of things, man. In movement not being specific to the single person, I see a lot of people are still doing movement that's just for the team, you know. And there's obviously there's foundations, but you can see some big things. I'm like, oh fuck, like if they could do this, like that could matter. Like you still see some stand-up sports giving their players never like say they got to palm someone off and there's no single arm cable push. It's just bench press as the push. And you feel that when you've done it to yourself, you feel that, oh yeah, like you can't just train something similar to it and be strong at it. You have to really train the movement, because otherwise then you learn the slings and you feel it in your body and it just becomes like Superman shit, you know? Like feels
movement specific, and generalized training is just
it's
not specific.
We got an ice bath. We got one of those Odins. What's
sick.
Yeah, I love it, man. I used it yesterday. God, it is night and day for recovery. Hey, it is fucking night and day. Yeah. Like, just like if you do a big week of jiu-jitsu and you hit the ice bath, it's like the next day you just
like a reset.
Yeah, and even Louis, I live with a runner, and he goes, man, when I started doing the ice bath sauna stuff, he goes, I noticed I could run way better the next day, and does long distance runs. It's cool when you hear these athletes really talk about it. But what would you say is your biggest tip for someone listening now that hasn't really done an ice bath yet, but they want to?
Yeah, so, it's because when someone gets into an ice bath, it's a stress response. So there's a tendency to go,
yeah.
All right. So I'm training them how to breathe, which is slow, which is nasal, which is light, diaphragmatic, and then putting them in a little stress response. So you're sort of giving them a test.
Yeah.
So I love that. But it's the low hanging fruit in someone's life. So if their immune system's out of whack, if they're, some people have these big egos where they want, they have an ice bath and it's like straight away, what's your record?
Yeah. Fully.
It's not about breaking records. It's about understanding a controlled dose that your body responds positively to. For some people, it's very empowering. It's, for middle-aged women, a couple of years back, it was like ridiculous. They were terrified. It was something that they never thought they'd be able to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's different things for different people.
Okay. And do you have a standard breathing tempo or something that you teach someone?
Yeah, we go into, I guess, breathing to understand stress. So anywhere between 4 and 8 breaths a minute is considered slow breathing. And we just want to down-regulate the body, and we want to feel that stress response and understand. And again, there's these negative connotations around stress, right? Stress can be good for us. Stress is exercise. Stress is sauna. Stress is the ice bath. Stress is breath holds where the body adapts to it and you improve your ability to hold your breath. So, it's sort of an analogy for life where we can get in, have a little bit of stress. It's not relax into this stress. The body's going to respond positively to it and see how you feel.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when people get out, and if you boys have got one, you would have seen it. They go, "Oh my God, I feel amazing."
Yeah.
And that's why it's become so huge.
How would you breathe? Like getting someone into the ice bath, because I've tried it. I was one of the people that was really struggling with ice baths. Like my hands and my feet were like, I'd get out and I'd curl up in a ball. I was in that much pain. So I started at like 14 degrees and I had to gradually get better. And now I just have one then and I'm getting better at them. But is there any tips to like before you hop in to breath up? I know a lot of people do like a lot of breathe up work to kind of like stimulate the nervous system to get it a little bit in a stress response before they hop in, and it kind of helps a little bit. Do you do that, or do you just kind of say, look, let's
absolutely. So I trained with Wim Hof in 2018, I think.
Yep.
I climbed a mountain with Wim in my board shorts.
Hell yeah.
And in winter, my circulation was so bad. When I used to shake people's hands, I used to be embarrassed because I had this really cold hand. and someone goes, "That's trainable." And I'm like, "What?" And so I was blown away. So I wanted to, and I was already, into the woo-woo stuff. And I'm like, let's go deep. I'm into it, So trained with Wim. The Wim Hof method, when you teach the Wim Hof method, it's this intense hyperventilation followed by breath retentions. And what it does, it pumps the body up.
Yeah.
When you're hyperventilating, when you hold your breath, body activates parasympathetic. And this is where you relax and bliss out.
Yeah, it's that
so
good.
Our experience is we've taken people into places of meditation and relaxation that they've never experienced. And not only have they never experienced, they never thought it was possible.
Yes.
So at the end of a Wim Hof session, people are just in this new level of relaxation. Their mind is blown. And it empowers them that their body is powerful. They want to potentially give up alcohol, stop using pharmaceuticals. They make positive health changes in their life after coming to our 3-hour courses. They're hugging, they're crying. It's such beautiful work to do. So at the end of the fast breathing, there is some slow breathing, a yogic shavasana, if you'd like. And then, we do teach nervous system regulation at the start of the session, a lot of oxygen advantage, a lot of Patrick McKeown's work.
Yep.
And again, there's some stories about being a lifeguard, like people in RIPS, there's that fight or flight response.
Yeah.
It's understanding the science of panic, and we're putting it in practice in the ice bath. One of the big things that we sort of developed was demonstrating. So I used to teach an ice bath session. I'd say, now get in. And then people would freak out. So I just whip my gear off and I would get in and demonstrate. And once people, and as a personal trainer and a yoga teacher, that's what you do with your clients, right? You get in and you demonstrate the movement before they do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And that was a game changer for people. And then my partner started doing it and it became even better because, she was doing it. She's 50 now, Katie. We're no spring chickens. Sort of get in, demonstrate the slow breathing, talk about what people can expect. There is more nerves in the hands and feet, and it is quite common to experience pain in those areas. But if you can breathe into it and relax, there is that sweet spot that people find sometimes a minute in. I have to pull people out. New people are in there going, "No, I can't do it." It's like, just relax, just breathe with me. And I'm down there at eye level coaching them. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to get out now." And then I'm like, "Come on, you got to get out. That's 5 minutes. You're out." So it's a strange one, but there's a fair amount of bio-individuality between sexes and ages and races and I've always wondered,
have you ever gone curious? I've always wondered this, say, because Jake used to feel it in his hands and feet. I've always wondered if any fascia work prior to the ice bath would make a difference to that. I've never tested it yet. Say doing a lacrosse ball on the bottom of your feet or your calf and getting the blood flow there and then jumping in the ice bath for those people that do get the sore feet. Have you ever tested anything like that?
Haven't tested it, but better circulation I reckon would help. And again, the breathing. If people are over breathing all day, every day, their circulation to their extremities is not as good as someone who's breathing slow and nasally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's just a flow thing. Hey, back to those conceptual things, flow.
And then these people are more likely to be stressed as well. So dysfunctional breathers are more likely to be stressed. It's there's papers and studies on it. It's clear.
Yeah.
And so people that breathe dysfunctionally are gonna struggle a little bit more in the ice bath.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, It's like if you've got a breathing disorder and you're breathing, I think we breathe roughly 26 to 30,000 breaths a day. If you've got a breathing disorder and you're breathing into your chest, think about how stressful that is for the nervous system as opposed to someone who's actually diaphragmatically breathing correctly and their body's feeling calm and energized.
You can feel it in one breath.
Yeah, 100%.
If people at home just
100%.
go, oh, big mouth breath, you can feel it in your chest. You can feel how dry it is. And then if you do a nasal breath, you're like, you can feel that diaphragm activate and the temperature of the air. It is so tangible, one breath. And it's so popular now. Like, you know, we love just going out, just teaching the power of the breath to people, you know, and when my direction, I thought I was going to be a yoga teacher, like the breath work was my focus back then. Like that's what I thought I was doing. And it's funny how it's all shifted all the way back around. And
yeah, now you're getting more into the science of it too, you know, like it's just understanding.
I love
getting an understanding of it.
Mm.
There's actually a really good Czech course taught by Matthew Walden that's all about breathing. Like he breaks down like a really just scientific view of like, this is what happens when you breathe to these, like it's a really cool, it's only a couple of hours long, so it's a great one.
Yeah.
I got it in my account, man. I'll send it to you. You'd love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that for heart health. He was like, when you breathe in, your diaphragm drops down, then so does your heart because it sits on the diaphragm.
Mm.
So it's actually like squeezing your heart.
Yeah.
So anyone with a bad heart rate or problems with their heart, it's not getting the pumping and the natural massaging it needs.
Yeah.
If you're a chest breather.
And it's cool how cool. And it's cool that you've already integrated like knowledge of the Czech stuff, man. Because I've seen like, you know how if someone has an insane anterior pelvic tilt, then their pelvic floor isn't under their rib cage. So they're not going to get that good oscillation of the diaphragm. Yeah. And I've also seen in this last Diane Lee course I did, I saw a girl go into a shitty kyphotic posture, which changes the pressure in the thorax. And that pressure for girls dealing with incontinence, which is, I think it's like 50%. Like it's a really big thing, girls with incontinence. It's all more about the pressure. That's the problem with incontinence, not so much... So like that's what she was going into. So it's about not being able to resist the pressure, and it increases pressure with a shitty posture. So when you have it relieves the pressure when you got the thorax and the pelvic floor on top of each other, and then you're going to get that natural oscillation. And they also couldn't fire their core as well. So what we did is they put them in a kyphosis, then try to draw the core in. It couldn't really work too well. Then stack the rib cage and the thorax on top, and you could see that the neurological input to the TVA just completely come in. And this is another theory I've had actually, is I've noticed, and I'm sure you would have noticed this. Have you noticed that when you go in an ice bath, your TVA turns on? Like I noticed that the core comes in a little bit. Like I noticed when I go in an ice bath, it's like my core just sucks in just a little bit. And it's sort of like an unintentional thing, but I've noticed it happens. And it's like, it'll probably come in like a centimeter. I was like, oh, an ice bath is almost a good tool to get the core firing a little bit. For those people that it's so inhibited, you know? Have you ever noticed
it
that?
wakes things up in the body. No, I haven't noticed it.
Yeah, next time you jump, see if it happens to you. I know it happens to me. I go in and all of a sudden everything just comes in a little bit. And I can look at it. I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing that, but it sort of does it naturally. Don't know why it does that, but it feels good anyway. It feels like a natural thing. So I've always wondered about, I wonder how it would be good for those postnatal mums once they were originally healed a little bit and past that stress response to get that core firing again from the natural ice response. And I just think, man, for forever, like if you got white skin, in some sense you evolved in a cold climate, you know? So this is like we had to clean ourselves, and we didn't have, unless we were like boiling pots of water, which we probably didn't do for a long time. You know, we had to get used to the cold. And I remember Paul said it years ago. He's like, people are just weak. He goes, we're comfortable all the time. We're in air-conditioned rooms and this. He goes, no one never feels this shit. And then you get weak and your system doesn't get used to it. And as you would notice, man, like you could do ice baths, you don't feel the cold as much. You can walk around and you do not feel it as much. It's so noticeable. And I just think that's so essential. You know, that's things that not a lot of people
I grew up thinking when I got cold, I was going to get sick.
Yeah. So
I ride a scooter around in Bondi, and like it's, you know, in winter, I'm just cruising around in a shirt, and if I get cold, I actually think it's going to be good for me.
Yeah, I think the same
thing. You get cold, it's okay. You're going to warm back up later.
Yeah. And I think with the breathing, like, because we talk about breath work, but it also lowers the heart rate, right? So there's a cool Chinese sort of concept of that you're born with a certain number of heartbeats. It's just a conceptual idea to say live calm, and that the more heartbeats you have, the less life you got. But in the sense of you do exercise, obviously your heartbeats go up, but then you have a lower resting heart rate You know what I mean?
Over time.
And it's just like, just the concept of staying calm. And it's so true, man. People it's just stress, right? It's just saying, don't be stressed. But that's what I mean. Like when you're breathing, you do that slow breathing. And I love doing that double inhale one. I heard Human Lab talk about it.
Oh, the physiological sigh.
Yeah, that's it. Here you go. And and that's what you mean by one breath, man. You do one breath of that and you're like, whoa, like, it's like, what is everyone doing? Like it can reduce you so much. And one time I actually smoked a joint and I was driving and I was thinking about something stressful for some reason. And I felt it like really changing my heart rate, changing everything. And I did that one breath and then sort of laughed afterwards. I was like, oh, hang on. Nah, it's all good. And I can see how you can get carried away in your mind of some thought that doesn't serve you. And then using something with the breath can change the chemical, which then sort of changes your thoughts. So we forget that our thoughts are in control, but also we've got to respect our matter, and there's chemical reactions there that change our thoughts. So it's like this fine balance of physical matter and mental resilience to change your whole direction of life.
It's physiology affects psychology, psychology affects physio.
Yeah, it's like a circle, eh?
Really simple. And you can do it and feel it in a couple of breaths.
Yeah, man, yeah. So what's next for you? What's your goals for the next sort of year or so with your intention of what you're trying to do at the moment?
Yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, just so there was some people doing some loose shit with the ice baths with no idea.
Yeah.
And I was worried someone was going to kill someone, so I started developing a course where people could get qualified and understand hormetic stress and a couple of basics. So I sort of set that up. Didn't think it would be, hugely popular. And every time I run one, it sort of sells out.
Yeah, nice.
So eventually I put it online. So, it's really exciting. And it complements the breath work that I do. So it's really nice. These worlds are so connected.
Yeah.
And again, like movement and posture, it's all linked as well.
Yeah.
Been training coaches to get qualified.
Awesome.
In an ice bathing certificate. And, a couple of them sort of said, my friends were bagging me going, what are you going to do? Learn how to fill a nice tub. And they sort of walk away with their minds blown.
Yeah.
And, it's super cool. So that's keeping me busy. The functional breathing stuff is more my specialty. Mm-hmm. I had asthma as a kid. So really love, this evidence-based sort of research.
Right.
So I can speak to doctors and physios and anyone that I need to.
Yeah.
I used to be intimidated by those sorts of people.
Yeah.
And now, when you speak their language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when you look how unhealthy some of the fuckers are.
Oh, yeah, man. Fucking oath. Yeah.
My neighbour come over the other day. His doctor is lovely, but it just.
Yeah.
He's probably brilliant at what he does and potentially saves people's lives, but he shouldn't be educating people about health. And if he is, then he obviously is not practicing what he preaches.
Yeah, that's such a powerful statement, and that is so true. Like, okay, we just started a TikTok recently, right? And you should see, like, a couple of videos went viral, and 99% of it's love, right? And then you get these people that are like a physio or this, and they always almost got no display picture and shit. It's always the same archetype. It's always no display picture, and they follow lots of people, and like no one follows them. Or like 10 people follow it. It's always that.
Yeah, you don't take any notice of those people.
No, they get these opinions, and now like we can really laugh at it. But you get so many people that just say posture doesn't matter, saying it's all like just norm and stuff. But I'm like, it's not normal. Like when you look at all these pictures of all these tribes people years ago, you never see that look. Maybe you see it in like some 80, 90-year-old version of them, but you never see it. It's such a rare thing. You never see these insane anterior tilts, and it's just like, and why I'm saying that is because you practice what you preach, and these people that put their head in the books and say, oh, isn't bad or whatnot. All you got to do is put yourself in that person's posture and feel. So that's what I've done a lot. I've put myself into my client's posture and say, what does this feel like? I'm like, fuck, it doesn't feel good. I wouldn't want to load it like this. And I don't need a book to tell me that. I can just feel it, right?
Yeah.
And every exercise we've prescribed, every stretch we've given, every deep tissue release we've done, man, I've done it to ourselves 1,000 times over. And you just start to feel the benefit that becomes undeniable. And that's what Paul sort of drilled in. He goes, there's people that are enemies against foam roller. But all you got to do is jump on one and see what it feels like after a little bit, and realize, oh, this flushes the system a little bit. This feels good. You walk away feeling good. You got more mobility, you know, and that's it. You know, I don't need more than that. Like, your body will tell you, you know, the pain teacher will tell you, and your body will tell you what feels great. So it's fucking, it's exciting, man.
Do you have any like to switch your nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic? Like, what's your go-to? I did some work with Nam Baldwin for a little while, and I had, when you said something earlier about how like a lot of people have never felt that dropping into that deep state. It's like, it's almost like the Upman or the 0 point field. It's like you just drop into that space where maybe it's the first time you've ever felt parasympathetic enough that you can just be like, oh my God, this is the best feeling. Like, I know you probably teach that and you see that a lot. What's your kind of like go-to for the switch of the nervous system? Like, obviously it's got to do with breathing and calming the stress and stuff, but I know Nam had like an 8-minute thing, which was pretty effective after being put through a lot of stress. But do you have something similar or something?
So ideally, you got to work with people and assess them, like long COVID, you know, obese people. Can't do a box breathing, because if you're doing a 4-second box breath, that's a 16-second breath, right?
Yeah.
These people can't breathe 4 breaths a minute. So when they see something like that, that's just going to stress them out straight away.
Yeah.
Take them into the sympathetic nervous system. So you've sort of got to assess them, see how their breathing is, just with some basic breath hold tests.
That's a great point.
And then give them something to that works for them. And any sort of generalized slow breathing will do that. Now, there's 3 dimensions of breathing that we talk about, and you guys know the biomechanics well, right? We've got to get that diaphragm working, and laying people down flat is just a beautiful, beautiful way for them to relax. We all spend too much time sitting. A little bolster underneath the knees puts those hips in a nice alignment. Slow nasal breathing. We add in that tempo. I usually start with 6 breaths a minute, in for 4, out for 5, a little pause. And the thing is, people can still overbreathe whilst doing this.
Yeah.
So they can still hyperventilate at 6 breaths a minute, even box breathing. I can breathe nasally, I can breathe diaphragmatically, and I can still overbreathe. So when you're breathing more for your metabolic needs, you're throwing your body out. And this is your physiology affecting your psychology. And as you said before, it's these 25, 30,000 breaths a day where it builds up and becomes chronic. So the breathing lightly is the hardest one, or the one that seems to be missed in society today. So that's understanding the relationship between carbon dioxide and oxygen in the body. And it was discovered in 1904. It's called the Bohr effect. And so we need carbon dioxide present for gas exchange to occur on a cellular level. Now, if you do Wim Hof for breathing, for instance, you're blowing out all your carbon dioxide, right? And when you hold your breath, it's easy and it's blissful.
Yeah.
If you do some CO2 tolerance training where you're holding your breath and exercising, you can feel that CO2 building up, and it's not fun at all. So that's sort of the difference between functional breathing, CO2 tolerance, and then Wim Hof and all these other rebirthing and holotropic breathing are on those dysfunctional breathing scale. But, you know, they're different because there's an intention behind that. It's not uncontrolled.
Is the blood gas ratio like, so it needs to be in this ratio that's like kind of right for the individual. So, you know, when you do like that HIS test where you're like, and you're testing how much carbon dioxide you have, do you know like the right amount, or is it just fully individual, like you said before?
Yeah, so I use the BOLT score and the MBT. So there's a sort of, we're looking to get people to 20 to 25 seconds with the BOLT score. You got your obese people, long COVID people between 5 and 10 seconds sometimes.
Right. Yep.
So I know there's significant room for improvement. And then, so we want to get them up. A lot of these people are mouth breathing at night, so the sleep tape is really beneficial. And then for them to understand it and then become breath aware. And if they become breath aware, if I get them involved with breathing, or, you know, you tell them how sexy it is, you sell it to them, right? The good thing about selling breathing, you're selling something and posture and movement to something that you love and something that works.
And it's free.
And ultimately a gift that they can use for the rest of their life.
Fuck yeah.
So if I can make these people breath aware, that they become more aware of when they start freaking out, or when they're like this, or when they're yelling at the kids, or when they're hungover, and it transforms their life.
Yeah. What about a jiu-jitsu comp? Like, what would you teach someone going into a jiu-jitsu comp that's like pretty fight or flighty? You know, because I remember I did some stuff with Nam like, on the land, and it was so helpful. And I'd love to be able to implement that into training, wrestling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've tried things like every 2 seconds you just do a breathe in, like, and then you're wrestling and you're trying to maintain your breath. But a lot of the time, say if you shoot for a double or something like that, like you hold your breath, so
you don't even know you do it.
You don't even know you do it because you like shoot in, you hold your breath, and then you get down, you got the guy down or whatever. Most of the time you don't, but and then you start breathing again. But like you do that enough times, you kind of get to the point where I'll gas or I'll be, and I can't think straight. So it's like, yeah, would there be any tips you'd give to like say a wrestler?
Mate, so many. So you could do some rolling with your mouth taped, and that forces nasal breathing without you thinking it.
That's what I did,
and then by doing that in training, you know, the way we improve our everyday breathing is by practicing it.
Yeah.
When you think about it,
I know. It's like we know how to do it.
It's simple. Well, but it's part of the autonomic nervous system.
Right.
So people have never thought or conscious breathe during their life.
Yeah.
So the way we influence those 25, 30,000 breaths a day is through conscious breathing. And we've got to hit those 3 dimensions. And as a generalization, and I don't love generalizations, much of society is over breathing. So they need to breathe less.
Yeah. So true.
And then sort of implementing it into, and the way to breathe less when you're training is take the mouth shut, and nasal breathing, simply by the fact they're smaller holes, will make you breathe less.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Actually, I've been doing every round with not opening my mouth, and when I notice that I do, I close it. Man, it's made a world of difference.
Because it will make you move slower, eh? Make you move.
It does.
Like, better with more intention.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I've been rolling better because I've been thinking. I'm not, like Josh Saunders said the other day, I'm not sprinting and trying to do a math problem now.
Yeah.
I'm jogging and I can think about where I want to go and actually 3 steps ahead instead of just being like, got to win.
That's so cool because nasal breathing is linked to spatial awareness, right?
Yeah.
So when your heart rate's lower, you're able to think clearer. When you're in fight or flight and you're not, your brain's not thinking, your prefrontal cortex isn't on at all.
Fully, I'm in the rip, just getting
you're
dragged
in the
out.
rip. And also you're getting more diaphragm activation, which reduces your risk of injury.
Yeah.
But, and you guys would know, when you go for a heavy lift you're going to hold your breath naturally as well, for those. So that will be a part. So essentially you should be training breath holds. In your movements.
Yeah.
That's a good point, man.
Because it would be functional training for you guys and surfers and swimmers. It's functional training to be underwater and hold your breath. So a little bit of underwater rock running might be super fun. Do it safely, do it in a group.
I love that shit, dude.
But you got to sort of understand CO2 tolerance training and then sort of start like anything, incremental overload and just sort of build it in. And then you're relaxing into that stress response because it is a stress response.
Yes.
And some people, it terrifies them holding their breath and being underwater. And it's, if you do it long enough, you'll die. So this is where, again, it's a hormetic stress. So the controlled dose is what people need and they'll respond positively to it. If you do it too much, it's a negative dose.
Yeah. We need to get you up here for a seminar.
Yeah, we got the place, man.
Yeah.
For the people that have like, say, reduced space in the nasal passages, maybe, say one's closed up or, say I got smacked in the nose once, it's going that way a little bit. But is there, say besides, obviously surgeries can save some of these people, right? But can breathing through the nose or like piston breathing or anything like that, can it actually increase the space of the nasal passages? Have you ever seen anything like that or looked into that?
Yeah, so there's a little exercise and I'll flick it through to you guys. It's on my YouTube, I think. It's called the nose unblocking exercise.
Love that.
So nitric oxide, do you guys know much about nitric oxide?
Not really.
Amazing molecule. It's a natural antiseptic. Right. So if you breathe in toxins, bacteria, viruses, nitric oxide is going to help your body from getting sick.
Wow, okay.
If you breathe it in, and this is released in the nasal cavity, if you breathe in through the mouth, guess what happens? More likely to get sick.
Yeah.
So nitric oxide not only is a natural antiseptic, it's a vasco and bronchodilator. So it'll open your airways. So the exercise is fairly basic. You breathe in, you breathe out, you hold your breath. I've added some techniques, including some light face massage, some peppermint oil, some eucalyptus, and then you breathe back in through the nose. If you do this 4 or 5 times, people can see improvement. Some people with structural damage may not, but generally I see some sort of improvement in most people. Really simple, really effective.
Awesome.
Great for people to do before bed. And as I mentioned, that product that I sell that doesn't cross the lips, it goes around the lips, so you can still mouth breathe at night if you have to, because it brings fear into people's heads, taping their mouth shut before they go to sleep.
Yeah,
so
true.
again, a lot of people, if they are dysfunctionally breathing, storing sleep apnea, the nasal breathing at night is just so good.
Yeah,
supercharges your sleep.
The oxygen advantage went into that unblocking the nose too. Hey,
It's oxygen advantage.
Yeah, okay.
I've just added some massage and some essential oils, and again the peppermint oil just opens. Yeah, you can get right up here. You can pull the nose and get under the cheek. You can get into these face stretches.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, there's some myofascial techniques with the tongue as well, and it's just building these muscles, right?
I think it's cool that because you have an awareness, like there's all these niches, right? But you've done well at blending, obviously, your knowledge of anatomy and just posture and basic sort of stuff, and not just the lungs going big and small, in breathing. So like I think about intercostal trigger points and the whole like foam roll in the thorax and things like that, man. And recently it's a pretty cool story, and just so you know, like I did a lot on the rib cage recently. I've learned a lot about the thorax with Diane Lee's stuff, and I've done courses with her in Sydney. And if you find a rib, and you can put your hands up someone's rib cage, right? And you can find one that's sticking out. And if that rib's sticking out that way, it's going into anterior rotation, and so it's rotating to the other side and going to anterior rotation on that side, right? Which is tipping forward for the people that are listening, right? So then whenever you inhale, there's going to be that natural posterior tipping of the ribs, and then they will feel jammed in the side that's sticking out. And I know this because it was me. So this is a crazy story. For years, I was like, fuck, I do this big inhale, feel it in this left rib. She come over to me, found the rib, just moved it. I couldn't even feel it move it, right? And then I was thinking this isn't going to work. And I also felt it when I rotated it jammed, because the same thing, it's got to rotate to the other side. And I breathed and it went away. And I was like, holy shit. So then it shows me how important is finding little fascial vectors that move the ribs off. Obliques are pretty common that will do it. Our serratus anterior, pec of the upper ribs. But I find the obliques seem to be external oblique seems to be the most common. That'll rotate the rib to the other side, make it stick out on the same side, and limit that posterior rotation of the breathing, which then, just I could feel it, when you can feel it. So it's just cool that you encourage people to, get those little trigger point balls in there. Go get an intercostal massage of like running between the ribs, and then feel what that does to the compression of your breath. And you can feel like your thorax can expand so much. And it's like, it's just a good feeling. Again, once you feel it, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
It's nice when you can tie all this stuff in together and make your own little system, that's niche to yourself. And that's what's cool about hearing your story, man.
Yeah, I've worked with a couple of people lately that have sort of come to me because they were just all out they tried other options. One of the girls recently, who I did 2 sessions with, 2 fucking sessions. She said, "You've done more for me than the last 30 doctors and psychologists."
Wow. That's cool, man. That is.
And
cool.
it's like this, and that's it. I do 2 sessions with them, give them the information, and they're on their way. And it's like, fuck, I need to be charging more money for this.
100%. Yeah, we get that too, though. It's like we find that we're kind of the people that people come to once they're exhausted of all options. Like, oh, all right, we'll try this now. Hey,
they're ready for something a bit more comprehensive, I guess, and passionate. Like we're obviously passionate, so anyone that's passionate, fuck you, they're going to teach you something. You're going to take
that's right.
from them. So it's like, because they just want to show it to you. It's like you just want to teach us. I just want to teach you. I just want to teach everyone about the body and for free.
And you're interested, right? When they start going, oh, my right hand's a little bit funny. It's, whoa, what's going on? What is that?
Yeah, it's like curious. Yeah, like what is that? And you can explain things that are complex when you're in your master at it, complex in a very simple way. And a really good, again, from Matt Walden, who's the head of Checka Education, a sick quote. I talk about it all the time, but it changed the way I teach. And he wrote a paper and it's called Realizing the Benefits Make the Benefits Real. So like you said with the breathing, if you tell them what's happening, if you tell them, oh, this is linked to this and this is this and this can change, then when they're doing it, they're thinking about that and it's bringing a placebo effect into it and motivational effect into it of like, oh yeah, I'll do that because it's doing this instead of why am I doing these exercises you gave me for my disc bulge again? You know, like, you got to tell them why. And it's such an important thing to really get people inspired when they walk out the door and have confidence of what you gave them is going to work because they know what's happening when they're doing it. So I think that's a really missing link in, they're probably not taught that a lot, you know?
Yeah, I love it. It's sort of what I think good coaches do naturally, right?
Exactly.
They learn and then, you make mistakes. And like I didn't find my voice as a coach until I reckon 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
And then it's funny at the same time, it was my breathing really improved. Like, and if we tie it back to me as a kid, I was a dysfunctional breather. I had learning difficulties. I sort of bounced through school and, I really wish I was applying this to when I was an athlete as well. I thought blueberry muffins were healthy when I was a kid and cordial. I didn't fucking drink water.
Coddies.
Really? True.
No. Like at school out of the bubbler and
I
wouldn't drink tap water if it paid me now. But I get a headache from tap water. It's so funny.
Especially down there, in the city.
Yeah. Because I don't want to buy bottled plastic water as well. Like when I go away, I'm like, I'll just drink tap water. Like I can't contribute to the plastic water. And the plastic water's like full of chemicals as well anyway, especially if it's been sitting in the sun.
It's tap water in a plastic bottle.
But so you're trying to do the best you can.
Yeah, that's it. Make the best decisions you can with what you've been given. I know like when we travel, it's like we try our very best to eat organic and as clean as we can, but it's like, hey, like don't stress yourself out over it. Like you got to make the best decisions you can. Yeah. But there's always, it's a fine line though. It's like when I got back from the States, I was like, fuck, I want to be 100. I want to be 100%, not 80-20. And me and Callan have talked about that. It's like, fuck, you start to feel so good, right? That you just want to be 100% in. You don't want to be eating shit.
Yeah, but some people have never felt like that in the first place. Yeah. And they're the ones that think we're crazy.
Yeah, that's so true, man. They're the ones that don't look great, and they're not aware of it. And it's just tired all the time or grumpy and don't realise it's all linked. Yeah,
isn't tiredness such a big one? Like if you overtrain, you feel tired, you feel... That's the big one. Your body's giving you a signal saying I'm tired, and if you don't listen, then you're going to get sick or have a cold or something like that.
Yeah, forced rest. Hey,
yeah.
For people to find your work, man, or work with you, or your online stuff, or like where do they find more about you?
Yeah, if they Google deanogladstone, it'll come up. There's websites and apps and bits and pieces everywhere. So Power of the Breath is sort of. I was worried I was spamming everyone on my Instagram account with all my breathwork stuff and as I was frothing out on it years ago. So I sort of developed a separate page. So it sort of goes under that. And I really like it because everything, the breath affects every system and organ in the body.
Yep.
And when I'm putting people in an ice bath, I want them to control the breath. So Power of the Breath sort of I run under that as a little business. Awesome. Instagram, Power of the Breath or deanogladstone. I've got a little website. I've got the ice bath instructor courses online.
Yep.
Some people are super knowledgeable, so for them it's just getting insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like for you boys, if something happened in the gym, you might not be insured to put people in the. Are you guys insured to put people in an ice bath?
Hell yeah.
You are?
I think I think so.
I mean, well, let's just say we are right now.
Yeah.
I doubt we wouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
So for you guys that pretty much know your stuff, you pick up a couple of things out of the course, but it's potentially a box tick for you fellas.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was sort of, but then there's other people that don't have the experience that we have and that are starting out on their health journey, right? So they get way more out of my course than that. I've got breathing bits and so doing that, teaching Oxygen Advantage. I love teaching Oxygen Advantage. Patrick is the guru. I teach a bit of breathwork instructors, do a little bit of PT. working with a couple of professional athletes. I'm doing some stuff with Bronte Campbell at the moment, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
I had a background as a swimmer, and we've been tweaking her CO2 tolerance stuff. And, for me, I'm just frothing, working with elite athletes trying to make their third or fourth Olympics. I should know. Yeah. But
it's cool seeing where they're at, and you see, oh, fuck, I can improve this. They're good here, but they're not doing this. Like, you can just start to see, you find their weaknesses and like, fuck yeah, now let's turn them into superwoman or Superman,
Yeah. And you think because they're athletes, they would have all that because they're at the top of their sport or whatever. But most of the time you find like a dysfunctional core, forward head, jaws out, whatever. And you're like, fuck, like there's so much we can do to improve that.
So much.
And it may or may not make their sport in better, but their longevity, that's a big motivation for people, longevity, so that's why I think about like with organic food in your 20s, fuck, you can get away with that shit. But in your 30s, you're gonna start to feel that, catch up if they're loading their body like that.
Yeah, it's a 1%er though. Like if, with the mouth breathing, like if Bronte gets sick, swimmer, they're pushing it. Elite athletes are pushing the limits. They're not healthy. They're going beyond those boundaries. Yeah. So she's going to get sick, most likely. But if she gets sick, say 2 or 3 times, if she gets sick one less than what she would have, like that could be the difference between her making the team or going 0.1 faster in an Olympic final, which is the difference between getting a medal and not.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a game of millimeters.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
That extra little bit of core activation could prevent her from getting injured.
Yeah.
Her rest and recovery is going to improve ever so slightly. That deep sleep, less waking up, going to the toilet. Immunity's boosted. There's a cumulative amount of a couple of little 0.5% here and 0.5% there. Next minute, there's 4 or 5%. We've sort of boosted her whole program, right? And
that's a lot.
You can't pinpoint the organic food or chewing your food or drinking filtered water exactly what sort of benefit it's getting there. But it is.
It's fucking everything.
And it is, how big is it? And it comes on back to the individual and I guess what they're already doing in their life and how willing they are to change.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Fucking sick chat, bro. It's motivating and it's motivated me to go jump in an ice bath, to be honest.
Yeah.
More than I have been,
Yeah.
I just like the short dips. Little 30 seconds here and there. And the good analogy that I've been making lately, because people say, how long should I ice bath before? And they don't feel it when they do a 2-minute ice bath.
Yeah.
So your cold therapy recommendations, and again, they're generalized, is about 11 minutes a week. Your sauna, they're recommending 40 to 50 minutes, and your exercise is 180 minutes.
Okay.
So if you put that into perspective, you understand that, you don't need long ice baths.
Yeah.
2 minutes, body's going to respond positively to. You probably feel good. I really like it before I train. There's some great research about exercising before you train, particularly if you are looking for muscle growth.
Right.
So for endurance runners, those sort of athletes that are going to experience inflammation after training, maybe JiuJitsu is sort of rough on the body. Yeah. And if you guys are rolling a lot and training a lot, then you want that inflammation post-train, any inflammation post-training. But if you're trying to put on muscle or trying to bulk up, that inflammation, like stress, is a good thing. But we want that inflammation there because it's going to support muscle growth and all the good things.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
I like the small dip. So you just do 30 seconds, or
so first thing in the morning, like if I feel a bit flat, 30 seconds, and you just
you're away.
Like the cold showers are epic too.
100%.
Maybe Sunshine Coast probably
pretty warm, right?
It's kind of warm as fuck.
Yeah,
but so the little dips are epic. Better than a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I'm sure it would be.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's respectable that you don't drink coffee, man. I always respect
I don't like the taste, so I can't say it's a health choice.
Right.
I have started drinking chai in the last couple of years.
Jake's on the chai train.
Yeah, it's slipping back in for you, is it?
Well, no, I like it. So the caffeine, again, like it's like these things, like a little bit of caffeine I think is good. I feel good when I have it.
Yeah, I agree.
My brain works good. There's some good research about it, and again, it's just sort of controlling
all
these things.
It's a discipline. It's like, trust me, the coffee thing I've mastered. I feel it's like I need to discipline myself to 2 cups a week. 3 max, and if I have more than that, I start to get addicted, and it starts to control and rule my life because I love it so much. So it's like I need to make sure that I'm on point, and if I'm on point with that, I'm on point with everything else.
Yeah,
so,
man. Yeah. And with the caffeine, we just recently did a podcast with Keith Barr. It'll probably be out this week. He's he's one of the collagen tendon researchers in the world. He is the collagen tendon researcher in the world, really. And he was talking about they can see that excess caffeine, at least in mice studies, about 4 to 5 cups a day, they made it, the mice have, basically equivalent to a human, that they can see that it inhibits the collagen synthesis and makes the tendons and ligaments weaker. So they're like, for the average person, no big deal. Even an athlete, if having 1 cup a day, no big deal. But he goes, if we see someone getting excessive, like a professional athlete with their coffee, he's like, we're going to intervene with that because we can see that it does affect the tissue health. So,
and you can see it too, eh? Like, if
it dries you out a bit.
Yeah. Have you played with the ceremonial cacao or the?
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. Yeah, that was the biggest game changer because I still need a drink every day. So I'll go and have like this morning I just had a herbal tea at Heyday, and I'll have a herbal tea.
Yeah, herbal teas don't do it for me.
Nah, I hate it. That was the first one I've had. Usually I'll have like an English breakfast, but yeah, definitely playing with it. And I love the ceremonial cacaos, like the Libido Alexa, I think was the one I had. And it had like Jing mushrooms and collagen. And instead of starting your day with something that like pulls energy from you, it's giving you energy and giving you nutrients. It's like, I love it. And you seem like a guy that would, you're pretty high energy anyway. Like coffee would probably just fucking make you go through the roof.
It's like me. I probably don't need coffee. But
yeah, fully. Yeah. You're already you're up and pumped on life.
Yeah,
so.
I'm pretty pumped on life.
And that's how you should be. You should be vital. You should be stoked on life. I think caffeine's a good thing, but I think it just needs to be monitored. Like Ben Greenfield nailed it, man. He's like, if you're going to drink coffee, drink it 3 weeks and have 9 days off, and like finding what works for you. But.
Yeah. And what we find when people do the cleanse, man, and I reckon it's just the coffee part of it, is when they get off, like, because remember, the people having it every single day. Like, they never have a day off, right? So anything that's every day, besides water, I think is excessive, right?
Yeah.
And people will get off it and they'll just sleep for like hours in the middle of the day and shit. Like, it's like the body catches up on like
sleep debt.
a different, and even though if they may sleep for 8 hours, right? But it's like a different style. And all of a sudden they got to catch up for about 4 to 5 days. And then it's like you're just born again. Yeah. And that's where Greenfield talks about those adenosine receptors from the caffeine can inhibit that, and that's why you need to have a break every 3 weeks.
Yeah,
3
9
weeks
days off. Yeah,
so your adenosine receptors can sort of reset, and you get that quality sleep again. And they think they're sleeping good, but it's like it's just
they don't know.
They don't know. Yeah, they wake up just not as fresh as you would be. It's pretty noticeable, man. So it's cool when you wants to do that, and then that tiredness in the midday does go away again once you just reset yourself.
Yeah,
so back to nature.
You guys might not know, but I bought your cleanse when I got back from India. Excuse me. I was away for my birthday, so it's in September, and I was just feeling flat. And I knew there was a parasite or something in there, and I didn't do it properly. But I just got on some clean food, and I just had what are the tablets?
Yeah,
and that sort of sorted me out. I didn't even get. I'm like, I'm going to do it properly. I ate clean for a couple of days, took them, and then I was feeling good already.
Yeah, sick.
Oh man, we got a mate who does hunting, and he always gets like pigs and shit. Yeah. And he goes, he just had them too, and all the worms and stuff started coming out of him. So that's like, for a lot of people that will sort you out. It's for the people that have like, you're already a clean dude. Yeah. For people that like aren't, they got to go hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people, we've had people that have liver flukes come out, and it just didn't stop. And even the cleanse didn't stop it. Like after 2-3 months, they kept coming out. That's when you got to refer out, and they got to heal their gut and do some deeper shit, because the parasite infection didn't stop for a couple of these people.
Yeah. So
it's rare, but fuck, it's happened. It's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world of parasites coming out, that's for sure. I mean, you already... we only did that, man, and it changed our whole life. Just from Paul. Paul in the check sheet, he goes, this is way more common than it has been forever, but no one knows about it. This is more common. Just make sure you guys know about it. And we just started putting our clients on it. They were shitting out worms, and then it went word of mouth. And then that's all it was. It was no intention to even sell the thing, man. It was just word of mouth.
PDF for a year and a half.
It was a PDF, just a PDF.
And then we're using someone else's product, and we made our own products. But it was like, we were like, it was like Dr. Doug Kaufman is the guy who created the kind of antifungal phase 1, phase 2 diet. Paul added his stuff. And then we've just kind of made a mash of a bunch of stuff that's worked for us and our clients.
Yeah, so good, hey?
Yeah, it's really
the
awesome.
oregano oil, I got onto that a couple of years back as well. But I was using like a doTERRA one, so I don't know if
that's brutal, that one.
Yeah, so it's good to get some of the wild one from you boys.
P73, bro. Yeah,
P73.
even like our one's good, but there's a better one called, we just can't get bulk of it, but it's called P73 Super Strength. And that shit is like,
it's super strength. It might, like, for some people, might be too
it's probably
gnarly
too
for 'em.
hectic. But if you like to go all in, this
Yeah.
is the shit. It will fucking fuck you up.
Yeah. But yeah, I take that oregano when I fly everywhere. Have it before I jump on the plane
me
and
too.
get off. It's just
You never get sick, man. You never get
That's
sick.
the medicine cabinet. The essential oils is my medicine cabinet.
Yeah. It's the best. The best.
So good.
Yeah, man.
So good.
Yeah. Bro, we appreciate you coming on, man. Fucking
thank you so
Good
much.
to chat, boys.
Yeah, for sure.
When we're down in Sydney next, we'll have to hit you up. And if you ever
we
wanna
were
do
trying to
something-
catch up last time I comes down, and it's just when you're down doing a course, like I think it got away from you, right? When you're studying all day.
Yeah, it was hard. I spoke to Harry in that last time, but I just couldn't fit fucking anything in. But I was cooked. But but we'll be down next year for sure, bro.
Yeah,
so
for
it'd be
sure.
good to catch up and get a feed.
Yeah, I wonder when we're up the sunny coast. Sooner rather than later, I hope.
Yeah, just reach out when you
reach out and come use our space. We'd love to do some breathing with you or something.
Yeah, cool. All right, boys.
Film a vlog or something.
Sauna, ice bath, gym, all yours.
Ice bath instructor course at your gym.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay. We only got one
Sick.
bath. If that's enough for people, it's sweet. But.
Well, it's more theory. We've got to get these people just not trying to kill people or put people in the ice bath that shouldn't go in. It's similar to exercise. It's generally safe for most people.
Yeah.
But
that's so true, man. My old roommate, she actually did one, and she was on a cycle, first one ever, and just when her period hit, and she did it, and it was like ice cold one, like ice in it. And she goes, for the rest of the day, I was fucked. Like I couldn't get warm again. I was just cold all day long and just felt like really bad. It was too much of a stressor at that time of her cycle. So when we talk about guys, we're pretty good to do it most times, unless you're a highly stressed dude. But you forget that females have cycles and stuff. It's different for a woman, you know. So it's cool. But as you already know that stuff. Well,
but constantly learning, lads. I'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good, man.
Much
Thank
love,
you,
man.
thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Much love.
Thanks, bro.
See you, boys.